Alright. I'll just cut it out.
It's fine with me because I always said it on Japan Films. Check it out.
Alright, okay.
Plug it. Plug that shit.
Okay. Alright, so first podcast.
Yes.
Let's trying things out.
Let's gain.
What's that?
Gain 上げるほど Yeah. So the bigger the gain is, the more it picks up. Headphones users, rest in peace. Yeah.
Alright, so like a small and short introduction, self-introduction. My name is Masaki. I lived in California for about, I'd say 11 years, and came to Japan, and went to like 6 years in a school I will not name with George, and we're both college students now. Yeah. What about you?
My gosh. No, don't know. Was it meant to be? I don't know, but we go to the same college as well, so BFF, wow, all that sort of stuff. Hi, my name is George Imami. I'm sure everybody knows me from Japan Films. Check it out.
You got that fucking clout already.
I've only lived in Japan, or Hitosuji, as they like to be called.
Mm-hmm.
But I had an English dad, so I have an English-speaking background. Mm-hmm. And I have lived for, say, 1.5 years old to now basically in Nagoya City. Now in... Do you want to specify the location?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Big C, man. We out here in Tokyo.
Yeah, we're out here.
Yes.
Yeah, so... Wait, so you were born where?
Kyoto.
Kyoto?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that, actually. So, yeah, we've been friends for almost like 7 years now. And
Jeez.
I still didn't know that, so it's kind of, kind of embarrassing. But, I guess the first thing I want to talk about is, the difference in culture, especially as a returnee. I lived in Japan, in America for so long that when I came to Japan, like, I noticed a lot of differences.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like George understands that because, we had the same English classes throughout, middle school and high school. So, we talked about the, English cultural, the accents, the slangs, and how it, differentiates with, American slangs and accents. So, in our classes, in our English classes, we'd always talk about, different accents. I would make fun of his, English, British accent, because I'm very good at it. And, yeah.
No. I mean, we like to take the piss all the time between us. The UK, US, whatever. But, no. My first impression when I saw Masaki, I mean, I must say it was a bit lost, but it's weird because when you first entered school, you were kind of shy. The first 2 weeks, I mean, you were so bloody timid.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, my goodness me, he's gonna struggle in this one. But he got out of his shell, and he sort of, I wouldn't say asserted dominance, that's a bit odd, you could say. But he got out of his shell, he got comfortable, he made a lot of friends, and, what I like you at Masaki is that you got this sparkling joy, this enthusiasm to try lots of shit, including this one.
Thank you. And, as he said, I came, to Japan, and, how do you say it, I came during, the 3rd semester of 7th grade.
Mm-hmm. So Chuichi, for Japanese speakers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't know, I barely knew any Japanese. So in, the ondoku, in, Japanese class, the teachers would, call on you and say, okay, Masaki, read this. I would struggle so much.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I, only spoke English, basically. So, I think I talked to you, a decent amount. We talk more now, obviously, but you know, like in 7th grade, I mean middle school, yeah, we kind of talked. We were in different clubs and stuff, so yeah.
Ondoku, by the way, just to add, is reading out loud.
Yeah.
No, but the first thing is though that I really sort of forced you to join the table tennis club, and I'm still very sorry about that.
Those were the days. No. Why are you sorry about that?
Because I didn't let you decide. I just said this was the shit, and you got into it. And
No. I loved it. It was fun. The teachers there were like kind of ass, but it was fun. We would do that. That cringe thing. It was fun.
I'm looking back at. I really do sorry.
Nah, no need to apologize. It was a good experience. Like we could laugh about it now. So.
I mean, I only. How do you say? I joined the table tennis club and didn't go elsewhere. I didn't win in matches, as you can imagine. Honestly, I lost every single one. The sad thing is that, losing all the games, that's fair enough. But the closest I got to was the first game, and it got just gradually worse and worse. And, just... It's like a story straight out from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid sort of stuff.
I mean, you say you did table tennis in school, like middle school and high school, but you did tennis, right, as well?
On the side, yes.
Yeah. So you did too. You're the type of guy that could like continuously do something. For me, I just like, change sports every like freaking 2 hours. So yeah.
But I mean, really? But I mean, whatever sport you done, I mean, I've seen you, not give out, but shown quality, if you will. I mean,
nah.
You must have joined tournaments in tennis, soccer, football, right? Could you elaborate on that? Soccer then? Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, so, like, if I explain what I did, okay, so in middle school, I joined table tennis for like about, 1 year?
3 months, wasn't it?
Really? No, it was way longer than that. Okay,
6 months.
6 months, okay. And then I quit, and then I went to the tennis club for like a good 2.5 years. And after that, the teacher, we had like a sort of a riot, and the teachers versus like the students, and everyone in the tennis club hated the teachers there. So, we like got out of that club. And then from high school, I played basketball. Even though I'm like 4'3", I'm like really short. But like, it doesn't matter, right?
So would you say you had the most, how do you say I mean, so the best quality time at the basketball club? I mean, how would you describe your different experiences?
I mean, we weren't the best. I mean, we were really bad, if I'm really honest. But, like, at the end of the day, it was really fun. Like, I loved basketball. So compared to tennis, I like basketball much more. So even though we lost every single game by like 50 points, it didn't matter because, at practice, it would be hella fun. So, yeah.
So what you could say one is better sport than the other, but
no.
But neither also produce results. You could say.
Yeah. So.
But back to the cultural differences, you could say. I mean, I'm quite curious about it. So could you also elaborate? Like, what were the first things that came into you that you realized, this it just ain't compatible here?
I would definitely say the language.
Right.
Like, in Japan, if any of you guys live in Japan, you would know the, I wouldn't say hierarchy, but like the senpai kohai relationship between others is really important. So, living in America, you wouldn't use, formal language. You would in some situations, but not as much. In Japan, it's like a daily thing. So, and, I would have trouble talking to my friends and then talking to my teachers formally and they would be like, dude, like I'm like so much older than you. Freaking talk good to me or something, like talk formal to me. So couldn't get used to that for a while. Yeah.
Keigo. I mean, I'm sure they're very enthusiastic Japanese learners among the audience. Keigo is the Japanese word for formal language. I mean, you could do I struggle with that? Perhaps, but not as much, I would say. It's just that, I mean, I do know when to speak Keigo, and I like to think I know how to speak Keigo, but it's the two different types, isn't it? So Sonkeigo, which is when you're addressing the person next to who you're speaking to, or when you're addressing yourself, then that's two completely different languages. So I think it's just a case of getting used to that properly, right? That aspect of.
And there's like so many different types of formal language. There's like Keigo, like Kenjogo, Teinego. Like there's so many. Like Teinego you use in like a daily basis, like dismasu. I think you hear a lot in like anime if you guys watch it. So like arigatou gozaimasu is like Teinego. And for like Kenjo, you have to put yourself down and then put the other person up and then like speak up to them. So those type of like this kind of changes the subject a little bit, but the first time I worked in Japan, I think it was in like 10th grade, I would say, at like a hotel, or like maybe like 11th grade, at a hotel in Japan, and it was a fancy hotel, so a lot of people and a lot of my senpais were like, you have to really watch your language to other people. You have to serve the customers, you have to respect them. So I had trouble doing that, and I did it with my friend. So it was okay, because I was just like playing around with my friend, giving like hella old dudes beer and being like, there you go, sir, like fuck off. So it was okay.
I mean, how would you describe the experience? Was it something you glad that you did? I mean, were there any regrets? Whatever.
Like, I feel like formal language in Japan is like engraved. It's like punched into the culture so much to the point where I have to learn it even if I don't want to. Like I want to live in America, but like most likely I'm probably gonna live in Japan if everything fails, So, having like both of my parents are Japanese, so I have to learn like the fundamentals at least of Japanese. So, working in Japan, is a really good experience, I would say.
Would you like to tell us the other job experiences, if you have any?
I have one more, and it was pretty recent. I quit in January. I know it's March, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, 2 months ago, I quit my ramen restaurant thing. And the reason I quit is because a lot of people just hated me. The workers there hated me. They're like, whenever I go to work, they're like, oh, it's fucking that guy again. And they're like, oh, we don't need him. Because we need 4 people at least to, run the restaurant. And I was the 5th one, always, because I was the new guy. So, I was that bench player that no one needs. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do Uber. I'm doing Uber. And, yeah.
So was it a case of they just hired you even though they didn't really need to, or was it a case of failed relationships, or because you were seen as someone who was a bit incompetent? I mean, or any other reasons involved? I mean,
comparing my job like at the hotel to the ramen restaurant, it was so much easier. It was so much more fun, but the people around you, I realized, is really important. Like at the hotel, I had my friends around. I had 2 friends around, so that made work so much easier. But at the ramen place, it was like 15 people against me. So I was like, nah, fuck this. So, the work was fun. Serving ramen, getting their orders, you know, doing the gyoza and stuff.
Dumplings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I left.
But I don't get it though. I mean, you're the nicest guy around. I mean, bloody hell. Oh, God.
No, it's probably because of my Japanese though.
You are Japanese.
No, because of my like
Japanese language comprehension.
Yeah.
God.
I'm just trash at it, you know. Let's talk about George for a second. So what kind of, you know, work have you been doing, or like have you done?
Well, I mean, I have told you a little bit of my supermarket adventures. You could say. I don't know what the right word is.
That's a book right there.
Thanks for the sarcasm as always. I started it from about mid-November because I was bored as hell. You know, I need to get on my ass, whatever.
Yeah, you gotta get that paper.
Yeah, exactly. I did some though, because you know I did 4 times a week. You know, like that. I mean, I only did you know, cashier work. The people were very nice, but Japanese standards, of course. There's this one woman. I mean, let's give a pseudonym. Let's call her
Jasmine.
Thank you. Let's call her Jasmine. Jasmine always, she was an overhand, as in, you know, grandma type. She always looked after me. She always said, how you doing? Oh, I got fever 2 days ago, but whatever. You know. But you know, there was always contact, communication. So that was alright. But the rest of the workers, I mean, I never worked anywhere else, so it's difficult. But you know, as you say, traveling around Japan and working in Japan are 2 very different things. Gain decent human contact relationships in Japan can be quite tricky. I mean, that's why I found out some people are much more open than others. As for the job itself, I mean, the first month, I mean, it was very refreshing. It was good for the brain, whatever. But I mean, the last 2 months, my God, I mean, it was just Groundhog Day for what, 60 days or something. I mean, my God, I mean, I was just thinking all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, when I was doing the job, you know. So I would say "irashaimase," and I do, you know, meat packing. I make sure the heavy stuff like milk, tofu. Is the word in English for tofu? You know, the good tofu, you know, vegan stuff. You know, if you know, sort of thing. So all the heavy stuff, whatever. But in my mind, I was thinking, I hope Masaki's doing fine. I hope I can start podcasts. You know, what if this doesn't materialize, that sort of thing. But maybe a little bit, sort of.
You know, like, I never worked at a supermarket, so I don't know. But like, is it like, so you do cashier, right? Are you bored, or like how many hours do you work?
The most of it was 5 per day. So.
Like what time? Like nighttime?
No, of course not just night time. So the earliest would be 5. The place always shuts down at 10. So for the first month I did until 10. So there will be additional sangyo work. So I did sort of you know, closing down the lift or the elevator, you could say. Wipe the tables, all sorts of sort of.
Oh, okay.
You know, additional stuff. No, when you're doing the thing, you know, placing the goods, I mean, that's all right, but when you're not doing anything, you start hallucinating, basically.
Start thinking things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, working, you know, a lot of jobs, like the ramen place, it's like hectic. A lot of people just go in and out, you know, it's a fast-paced kind of restaurant. So, you know, you can't really think of, like, other things. You're pretty focused in the zone, but I feel like that's a good thing, you know. Time passes by quickly. If you're bored, you're just gonna be like thinking about, like, you know, what to eat for dinner. And,
Exactly.
You know, thinking about other things, and time's gonna feel long. So, yeah. And speaking of freaking time being long, Corona, you know, quarantine.
Yeah.
How you been holding up?
I mean, my goodness. I mean, I would like to ask this exact same question. I mean. So basically, the high school finished about the start of 2020, right? Do you remember?
Yeah.
So the first 3 months, I just got on my bike, traveled around the district I lived in because, well, I'm gonna go to Tokyo, so let's explore before I go.
Okay.
Little did I know that I was gonna do more exploring after that. So the first 3 months I had no regrets what I did until May, which is when the university online started. I was bored out of my head. I mean, I have so many regrets during that time. It's not good, but I did publish about 4 videos.
Nice.
Cringy or not, let's not go into that. But
Why is that?
but yeah, 200 views and all that. It's popping.
Hey, it's popping.
But from May to August, I was quite busy. I'm sure you were quite busy with university work. And then from September, again, so September until I started my job, there was quite a big blank time. That's wrong English, isn't it? I mean, there was a bit of time that I should have, filled up with something, more decent.
Everyone's the same, bro.
Right.
Everyone's like, I should have done this.
Mm-hmm.
During quarantine, I could have done so much. I could have been, so productive. But I decided to watch like 10 hours of YouTube every day. So
that's how much your numbers.
So yeah, so I should have worked there and saved up, and then when Corona was over, hopefully soon.
Why are you gonna sound as if you're really professional and sort of like so geared up type of guy? But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so hopefully, I can't save up money. Like you probably know that, and you probably can, right? Like I can't save money, so I just spend it if I get it. So, like hopefully I could work right now again, even though university is gonna start in like 2 weeks? Not even.
10 days maybe.
Oh no.
I think it's the 12th or the 13th, isn't it?
Yeah. Soon. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna work, while doing the university work, and so yeah. But for you, we're in different faculties, and he's gonna get to go to campus, right?
Sometimes,
some classes.
I mean, I heard that if the class has over 100 students,
then do you have any classes over 100?
I'm sure there will be, yes.
I had like one class though. Like it was mainly like 20 people per class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all of my classes are online, and it's fine. It's whatever. I could work after Zoom classes, and I guess I really want to go to campus. We're freaking freshmen. And no, we're not. Oh my god. A year went by, huh?
We might as well be freshmen, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, how can I say? Because I just feel it's really unjust, you see, because I would imagine half of my classes, they'll be offline. So why can't it be the same for you? I mean, it's just one faculty, which is you, and unfortunately just has been singled out for some reason.
The reason is because my faculty, a lot of people from around the world just come around. So I guess the university decided, fuck them, they're not coming. So a lot of I would say 40% of students in my faculty are from abroad. So I guess some people can't come in during these times, so shogunai.
Oh, come on. I mean, perhaps in the end that's the answer that you settle down in, but you deep down it's bullshit, right?
Yeah. Of course I know. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so how about in Masaki's case? Let's wind the clock back from last year, January, and I want to know how you have spent your time. It doesn't have.
Oh boy.
Regrets. I did good things. Whatever.
Let's probably gonna end in 10 seconds, huh? Same with George. Started school in May. During the summer, during the summer I came to Tokyo
Same
And
here.
and you know, hung around college friends that I luckily made, and during classes I just took them, didn't get really good grades, worked at the ramen place, and that was just my routine, just Zoom and then work, and then that's it. That's my day. And then if I didn't have Zoom classes, I would just sleep all day.
Really?
Yeah, just quarantine. Yeah.
But I imagine you to be sort of, quite active. If you had the chance to sort of go out and do new stuff or whatever. But that wasn't the case most of the time.
I mean, the majority of the time, no. Like, the majority of the time, I would just stay inside, not do anything. Like, in Japan, we didn't, like, how many months did we have lockdown?
0, wasn't it?
The Kinkyu Jaisengen.
So emergency order, you could say.
Okay.
I mean, in total, there could be about 3 months, perhaps.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 5.
But, okay,
I
3 to
feel-
5 months.
So
We up to the news, guys.
we don't know anything. So during the emergency like lockdown thingies, I would stay inside. But if it wasn't like if the country was like, nah, you guys can like go have fun, I would go have fun with a mask on. Yeah. So
Responsible.
yeah, and oh yeah, another thing, like going back to the cultural thing. Another thing that I noticed is, like, in the first place, Japanese people wear masks on a daily, and in America, everyone's like, this is human rights. Like we don't have to wear masks, and I feel like that's so stupid because, like, you're just wearing fabric on your face, and Americans are complaining about that, and Japanese people are so respectful to the point where, on a daily basis, without like 2 years ago, they would be wearing masks because if they had a fever, they don't want to spread it to others. So, it's that type of country, and Japan, in one word, I would say, is respectful.
I would say it's conformitist, but we're in the danger of entering a rabbit hole that we're never gonna get out. So that's for another day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So a lot of cultural differences. How about you? So I know you didn't like per se live in England, but what's like the difference, like the main difference between those two?
I mean, you could say respectful, but with me, it's the seriousness, isn't it? Because this is something I talked a lot with my father, for example. But when you first meet a Japanese person, especially in a business meeting, you got to hand out meshi, so like your business card and stuff, and make sure you look polite. You are polite. Arigatou onegaishimasu, the formal language as you mentioned. But in British culture, most of the time, people are out there to make jokes, and the funnier you are, the better impression you make. I mean, that's a very abstract way of explaining things, but most of the time I think that rings a bell. And it's just the seriousness, isn't it? Because Friday night, Saturday night, whatever, let's go without the lads, let's go to the pub, whatever. And I mean, I heard in, say, Netherlands, the UK, and Spain, for example, a lot of young people are enough of this COVID lockdowns and doing secret raves, illegal raves, underground raves, whatever you call it. I mean, my goodness, which one is better? You could argue down to the cows come home, but that's the first difference that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So your mom is Japanese, right?
that's correct.
And so, like, in the house, you speak Japanese to your mom, or like, is it mixed?
The Japanese to my mother and English to my father.
So are there any, like, I don't know if you talked to your parents about like this kind of stuff, but are there any, did they meet in Japan?
What do you
Or
mean?
the two, like, did your parents meet in Japan?
Grandparents.
No, your parents.
Me in Japan.
Like, meet. Like where they, like, atta.
Initially you mean?
Yeah.
How I met your mother. That was in London because my mother.
Oh.
How do you say "ryugaku" again in English? Study
abroad.
Yeah. In London when she was about 22. Maybe it was her love at first sight. I'm not too sure, but let's go with that because it sounds more romantic. And then traversed Coastal Grove, Southeast Asia, whatnot, and then decided this works.
Dang. So why did they decide to come to Japan? Is there a particular reason, or?
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about the details. The thing was that my mother had my mother had a job at. Can I say this? Let's say a petrol company. I'll tell you later if you're interested. Japanese petrol company. And my father was studying at the Daigakuin, so going for his MA in Japanese history. And then, whatever reason, my father now needs a job. He finds offers, say, in Japan, Qatar, UAE, and South Sudan or somewhere like that. And by the time the offers came in, my mother was in Japan, so he just pursued for this position in Japan. I forgot whether it was. I think it was called the British. I think I can say this. It's called the British Council. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was in Kyoto. So it's an office. It's an English teaching school. You could say it's like the ECC or what's the other one? Aeon.
No.
Yeah, something similar, but much more of a higher quality. And then my father's lived in Japan ever since.
Wow, interesting. Wow.
Okay, thank you.
So, is your dad bilingual or your mom bilingual?
I have to say my mother's English is better than my father's Japanese. But yeah.
Okay. So kind of now talking about being bilingual, do you have any experiences you want to talk about being bilingual? Or
I mean, of course.
A lot of people.
Good segue that.
A lot of people are being bilingual. Monolingual people are being bilingual must be so cool. What language do you think in? It must be so, so much better. But I always say, one language gets worse. You can't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can't balance two languages that much. So a lot of people are bilingual is cool, but I disagree. It's just being monolingual. If you study only Japanese, and if you study if you're good at math, being able to speak Japanese and being able to do math, I feel is so much more stable for your future. Well, in Japan, of course.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, being bilingual now, you could go abroad, but yeah, that's what I always say.
What do we know about Kiwi stability? I mean, it's difficult to tell, but it's interesting you say that because that's something I learned at university last year. Is that if you're to become bilingual, then it's difficult to be near perfect with either of the languages. So you just have to settle down and sort of accept a little bit of your inferiority complex, if you will. With me, I've only lived in Japan, but I have made friends just a little bit because of English, like you, for example. That's good. But since I've only lived in Japan, being Japanese only could have been fine. Yes, I do have a lot of memories at primary school, saying, "Oh, can you say this?"
Yeah,
you get that as well.
Yeah? It's not annoying, but it's kind of weird, everyone's "Oh, can you speak English?" What am I supposed to say? They're like, "Oh, say dingo." I'm like, "Apple." They're like, "Whoa." I mean, you could say that. I mean, there's no difference. So, I find it kind of dumb when people ask that.
I mean, they ask just questions. Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna ask, please ask sentences. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it says be like, "Can you please say this?" Or a lot of my friends are when they're trying to write a report or something, be like, how do you say this? Like that, like I want to help out, so cool. But if you're just like, oh, say dingle, Google that, bro. Yeah, so, you know. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's gonna like kind of be a rant, but what do you think of Japanese, English being taught in Japan?
The education system.
Yeah, education system. That's the word.
Well, that's something that needs a lot of research. But my initial reaction to that, it's just the reason why some countries are much better in English language is that, well, one thing is that if you look at countries, say Finland, Netherlands, and perhaps maybe Denmark, Sweden, those are the countries, first of all, they're all in Europe, and the thing is, they already sort of have contact with other languages except from their own. So it doesn't have to be English. So, I mean, Belgian people, they basically are trilingual. If you're monolingual in Belgium, it's a bit of an embarrassment. It's that sort of environment, right? Because they have French, they have a little bit of German, they have Flemish, Dutch, Flemish, whatever you call it. So the countries that do well in English education always have contact with other languages as well, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be English. And so it gives a disadvantage for Japan. And you could argue there's too much grammar lessons. I mean, we can both agree on that one.
So a lot of my friends are doing, for work, they're teachers for, middle schoolers and high schoolers. They're teaching English to Japanese students. And they always say they just focus on grammar. And that's all they do. So when it comes to communicating, just talking with others in English, they stumble so much. They're like, they keep thinking of grammar. They're like SVOO, like SVOC or something like that. I know nothing about that. So I could never be a teacher.
Perhaps. Most of the conversation you had, there has been no structure, right? It's just a bit of eye contact and a bit of slang. We somehow keep going for about.
There's eikaiwa, English communication lessons, but it's not mandatory. It's not in how do you say it? Gimkyōiku?
Just say mandatory education.
Yeah, it's in mandatory education. So a lot of, like, when I came to Japan, we went to like an international kind of, a school where English was pretty high advanced. So there was no trouble there. But in other schools, in Japanese schools, public schools, they don't focus on communication, so they can't communicate. So I would say studying abroad is really good. It, like, really, you could understand the culture of the country, and you'll realize that, like, how important communication is. Like, the reason we have language is to communicate, and we're not doing it. Like, I think you would agree on this, but a lot of Japanese people who study English from like square one, they're really good at writing. They're really good at writing essays. A lot of my friends in uni are like really good at writing essays, like 1,000 words in like 30 minutes or something, and then I'm like struggling to write that, but they can't talk, So it's like it's kind of hard to decide. Like, they're putting a lot of their strength into writing, and I guess reading, but they can't communicate, and I feel like Japanese education needs to focus on that. They're kind of, slowly.
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, you see, because why Japanese children are being educated really is to pass this central exam. I think that's how you call it. And to pass this exam, you got to be able to write essays that are clean and neat. You got to be able to read, sentences about 1,000 years ago, the history of ancient Mexico or whatever, or the how the moon has always dark sides, perhaps. Exactly. The BS stuff, you could call it. So the whole education, including the old Japanese koten and whatever, you cram all of it to gear up for the central exam, and then hopefully enter the hallowed turf that is Tokyo University or Kyoto University, right?
Yeah, so I would definitely agree on that. A lot of just Japanese people, they focus so much on just the last test, the central, or what test? No, not the
It's called central exam or something.
Yeah, so they just focus on that. So, a lot of Japanese people, they're really smart, but like when it comes to English, I don't really like it, Japanese English. So, like especially when I came from America, where, like it's a English speaking country. It's really hard when everyone's just focusing on grammar. It's really hard to communicate. And like this isn't a diss, but in our middle school, high school, I thought I was gonna like talk to like everyone in English, like in America. I went to a Hoshuko, a Japanese school in America. I thought it was gonna be like that, like a lot of people talking English.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so it was the other way around. It was mainly Japanese. I mean, it was so much more fun though. I mean, if it was just English, I don't think I would be able to understand Japanese culture. So, we were taught, Keigo and stuff, formal language in our clubs. So, if that was all in English, I would still struggle with that.
God's sake. I just want to say, if we were to continue this series, I hope we can. That would be nice. I would like to do it in campus.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, because
a lot of stuff to talk about though.
Still. Well, go on then. We still got a bit of time.
No, it's like completely off topic. I love like conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So it's stuff like that though. It's like nothing related to this. So
we're doing the outtakes.
We out.